Have you ever dropped your hard-earned cash on store-bought vegetable seedlings only to find out weeks later that they were completely mislabeled, or worse, they were carrying some nasty fungal disease, or were just way too weak to survive the move to your garden? Yeah, it is incredibly frustrating, right? Well, what if I told you that you could completely bypass those unpredictable, expensive garden center purchases? Today, we're diving into how you can grow robust, truly professional-grade vegetable seedlings right inside your own home, completely skipping the need for a pricey greenhouse.
Welcome to our ultimate indoor seedling explainer. Our goal today is actually pretty simple, but it is super powerful. We're going to walk through a highly structured, science-backed timeline that takes you all the way from a raw seed to a thriving plant. Whether you're a complete beginner who's never planted a thing, or you're a seasoned gardener looking to really dial in your technique, you're going to learn how to save money and cultivate crops like a professional agronomist, using steps that are totally practical and easy to follow.
All right, let's map out this journey. We are going to cover setup and seed prep, the actual planting process, mastering your indoor microclimate, pricking out and care, hardening off and transplanting, and finally, setting some realistic expectations.
Starting with Section 1, Setup and Seed Prep. Before you even touch a seed, you need the right setup. The good news? You do not need to break the bank here. Simple containers, like repurposed yogurt cups, work perfectly fine, as long as you poke drainage holes in the bottom. That is crucial. But here is a major insider secret. Never, ever use heavy garden soil indoors. You need a light, airy peat moss or cocoa coir substrate. This is non-negotiable, honestly, because those delicate new roots desperately need oxygen and effortless drainage to actually thrive. Grab a cheap digital thermometer and some full-spectrum LEDs, and boom, you've just built a world-class nursery right on your kitchen counter.
Now for the seeds themselves. If you've got leftover seeds from last year, don't just guess if they're still alive. Test a few out on a wet paper towel in a warm spot first. For your main batch, though, a simple 12 to 24-hour warm water soak is a total game changer. It hydrates the seed coat and basically triggers the plant's internal alarm clock, jump-starting the whole germination process. Oh, and definitely sort out and toss any tiny or visibly damaged seeds. Trust me, weak seeds only produce weak plants, so don't even bother with them.
Moving right along to Section 2, the planting process.
With our seeds hydrated and fully awake, it's time to actually get them in the dirt. Getting this step right prevents so many headaches down the line. A really common mistake beginners make is trusting every single seed to sprout. Instead, play it safe and place 2 to 3 seeds per cell. This brilliantly compensates for any duds, and you can just thin them out later to keep the strongest champion. But listen closely to this part. Never bury your seeds too deeply. A seed only holds a finite amount of stored energy. If you plant it too deep, it will literally exhaust itself and die before it even breaks the surface.
Let's talk specifics for a second, because not all veggies are created equal. Tomatoes, for instance, prefer a shallower planting depth, about half a centimeter to a full centimeter, and they like things cozy, around 22 to 25 degrees Celsius. Peppers and eggplants, on the other hand, they demand to be planted slightly deeper, about 0.7 to 1 centimeter, and they need a bit more warmth, around 24 to 26 degrees, to successfully sprout. Paying attention to these tiny micro-adjustments is exactly what separates the amateurs from the pros.
Okay, once your seeds are perfectly nestled in the soil, how you water them is absolutely critical. Mist, do not pour. If you pour water directly from a watering can, you will easily wash your seeds away or shove them way too deep into the substrate. So, always use a spray bottle filled with warm water to gently moisten the soil. Once they're misted, pop a transparent lid, some plastic wrap, or a mini greenhouse dome right over the containers. You want to lock in 100% humidity. Place them in a warm spot, and over the next 5 to 15 days, that's when the magic happens.
Which brings us to Section 3, Mastering the Indoor Microclimate.
The exact second those tiny green shoots break the surface, take those transparent covers off immediately. Why? Because now we face our absolute biggest indoor gardening challenge, the light deficit. This leads to something called etiolation. In everyday terms, it's stem stretching. It is the frantic, desperate elongation of a plant as it literally reaches around searching for light. If you leave your newly sprouted seedlings on a warm, cloudy windowsill, they are going to grow tall, stringy, and incredibly fragile. We're talking so weak they'll just bend over and snap. High heat mixed with low light is the exact recipe for ruining an indoor crop before it really even starts.
So to stop etiolation in its tracks, you need to step in and play Mother Nature. You want to use full-spectrum LED lights positioned just 20 to 30 centimeters right above the tops of the plants, running for a solid 14 to 16 hours a day. Now, the breakdown of that light matters. You want about 45% blue light in the 400 to 480 nanometer range, 45% red light at 660 nanometers, and 10% soft UV or other spectrums. That blue light acts like a biological stop sign, commanding the plant to stop stretching upwards and stay thick and compact. Meanwhile, the red light drives rapid, healthy leaf growth. This specific combo is the ultimate secret to growing stocky, bulletproof seedlings.
Let's look at Section 4, pricking out and care.
So as your seedlings grow, their roots are going to start crowding each other, which means they need their own space. Agronomists call this transplanting process pricking out. When it's time to move them, you have to be incredibly gentle. Here's the golden rule of agronomy. The stem is never squeezed with your fingers, period. You must hold the seedling only by its leaves. Think about it. If you accidentally crush or tear a little leaf, the plant will just regenerate a new one. But if you pinch and crush that delicate baby stem, you permanently destroy the plant's vascular system, and it's game over. It will die. Treat that stem like it's made of the thinnest, most fragile glass.
Now, when you're actually placing them into their new, larger pots, there is a massive difference in how different crops react to depth. Tomatoes are amazing because they actually love to be buried deep. You can bury a tomato stem all the way up to its very first set of false leaves, the cotyledons, and it will sprout extra adventitious roots all along that buried stem, making the plant incredibly strong. But if you do the exact same thing to peppers or eggplants, total disaster. It will cause their stems to rot and they will die. Peppers and eggplants absolutely must be planted at the exact same soil depth they originally sprouted in.
Now, if you are sitting there terrified of damaging those tiny roots during a transplant, I have an amazing insider hack for you. It's called the no-prick top-up method. It's so clever. Instead of moving the plant, you just start your seeds in a larger cup that is only half filled with peat moss. Then, as the plant grows taller, you slowly just add more soil around the stem to fill the cup up. This method is brilliant because it completely avoids transplant shock entirely, since you never actually uproot the plant in the first place. Let's head to Section 5. Hardening off and transplanting. Fast forward a few weeks, your indoor plants are thriving. They're thick, they're green, they look great. But if you move them directly from your cozy, climate-controlled kitchen out into the harsh outdoor garden, the shock will literally kill them. They need a transition period, a sort of plant boot camp called hardening off. You're basically toughening them up. Start by slightly backing off on the water. Then, over a week or two, gradually increase their exposure to outdoor air, dappled sunlight, and mild breezes, making sure to bring them back inside at night. Protect them from any harsh winds at first. Give them a nice nutrient boost with some fertilizer about a week before the big move. And finally, give them a really heavy soak of water 6 to 10 hours right before you transplant them into the ground. That water ensures the soil binds to the roots, preventing damage when you finally slide them out of their pots.
Finally, Section 6. Final expectations.
Before you rush out of the garden with a trial in your hand, it is really important to just ground our expectations in reality. We've given you the exact science, the precise lighting specs, and the insider methods to grow absolutely incredible indoor seedlings. But remember, gardening is ultimately a partnership with nature. While these agronomic techniques are completely proven and tested, Mother Nature always holds the final wild card. Your local weather patterns, an unexpected late frost, and just the inherent genetics of the seeds you chose will always play a massive role in your final harvest. So, don't get discouraged by a few losses along the way. It's all just part of the learning curve.
You now possess the structured knowledge and the insider secrets to bypass the commercial greenhouse completely. You have everything you need to grow healthier, stronger, and far more diverse plants right from a shelf in your own home. So the only question left for us to ask is, what delicious crop are you going to start growing today? Grab some seeds, get that soil ready, and let's get planting.